engines. Such a simple looking object, but the actual complexity inside is what is able to get them to help jets fly, to power cars, all the way to getting a motorcycle to work. In this video, we will go over the functions and sizes of the largest engines in the world. From an engine shaped like a honeycomb to an engine so huge it consumes about 39 barrels an hour. You'll love how amazing and useful these engines could be. Make sure to subscribe and like the video before we get into the engines. Now, let's get right in. 1. The world's largest turbofan engine. A turbofan is a fan that is directly connected to and driven by a turbine. Turbofans are used to supply air for cooling, ventilation, or combustion. The GE90-115B, which entered service in 2004, is the world's biggest jet engine, coming in at just under 18,300 pounds or 8,300 kilograms. This amazing motor set the world record for blasting 127,900 pounds of thrust at 18 feet long and 11.25 feet wide. That's enormous if you think about it. But what's even more enormous was the price that came with the creation of this engine. $2 billion. This engine has been the world's largest turbofan engine since 1995. The GE's Aviation's website explains that in 1995, the GE90 engine debuted aboard a British Airways 777 airplane, along with commercial aviation's first ever carbon fibre composite fan blades. Early GE90 engine models boasted outputs between 74,000 and 94,000 pounds of thrust, and today it remains the world's largest turbofan engine. 2. The largest mass-produced aviation piston engines in the US. Next up is the Wasp Major, a 4-row radial piston aircraft engine designed and developed during World War II, was the Pratt & Whitney R4360 Wasp Major. The Wasp Major was one of the largest radial piston aviation displacement engines to be mass-produced in the United States. About 18,000 of these engines were built. Every row of 7 air-cooled cylinders had a slight angular offset from the previous one, creating a semi-helical structure to help the cylinder rows behind them create cool airflow, inspiring the corn cob nickname of the engine. This is the last of the family, and the culmination of the piston engine invention of Pratt & Whitney, an American aerospace manufacturer with global service operations. The war ended before the engine could be introduced and used in combat aircraft. You'd expect the engine to meet standards with a name like that. The 71-litre version, of course, had 28 cylinders in a radial configuration and a 3,500 bhp, short for brake horsepower, power output. Stay tuned to hear about the world's largest wind motor, a pretty groundbreaking invention. 3. The world's largest radial engine. The XR7755 by Lycoming, a major American manufacturer of aircraft engines, was built in 1944 and is the world's largest radial engine. Radial engines are used mainly in small aeroplanes. At 127 litres, using 36 cylinders to produce 5,000 brake horsepower and weighing 2.7 tonnes, we'd be surprised if you didn't consider it an extremely large engine. The largest piston-driven aircraft engine ever produced was, and still is, the Lycoming XR7755. It was planned to be used on the European bomber USAF, which eventually became the B-36 Corsair. During the Second World War, the US had a yet-to-be-built long-range bomber and transport. The Army Air Forces ordered an engine with high takeoff power and low fuel consumption. In early 1944, Lycoming started developing the engine and it was ready for testing by mid-1946. It featured 9 dual-lobe overhead camshafts, axially shifting for efficiency in takeoff and cruising, and a 2-speed, geared, dual-rotation propeller drive. However, in 1946, the project was revoked when the United States Air Force's attention diverted to jet engines. 4. World's largest wind motor. The Siemens SWT 6.0154 is a large wind turbine in the offshore market. It has an output of 6 MW, short for megawatt, a unit of power, and a sweeping area of 18,600 metres. The turbine is based on direct drive technology from Siemens and has less moving components than related direct drive technologies. The head is less than 360 tonnes in weight. Siemens reports that the combination of robustness and low weight decreases installation and maintenance considerably. What makes this engine great is the fact that it has less fast-moving parts and a tower head mass of less than 360 tonnes than Guild machines, helping to minimise installation and maintenance costs and improve energy production for life. Stay tuned to hear about the world's largest diesel engine, I don't know about you, but I sure haven't ever used diesel in my car. Let us know down in the comments if you use diesel fuel in your car, and if not, 5. Largest steam locomotive engine. The largest steam locomotive engine is commonly referred to as big boys. The steam engines were initially supposed to be called Wasatch, according to Trains magazine, after the mountains they were designed to bring goods in bulk over. However, in 1941, on the front of the locomotive, an American locomotive company shop worker wrote Big Boy in chalk, and the name stuck. Designed between 1941 and 1945, the longest steam locomotives constructed were the 4000 class of the Union Pacific Railroad. The 4884 articulated steam locomotives went out of service for a good cause. Soon afterwards, they were replaced by diesel engines. They were truly powerful machines at 82 feet length with a tractive effort of just over 135,000 pounds force. 6. What was once the world's largest diesel engine? At the HC Ørsted power station in Denmark, the B&W CM 884 WS150 was the largest diesel engine in the world between 1932 and 1962. Truly monstrous, it was a 2-stroke, 8-cylinder diesel engine. The engine is breathtaking to stare at, nearly 82 feet long, 41 feet tall, and 1,400 tons in weight. Its crankshaft alone weighs 140 tons, and all the engine consumes 40 tons of lubricating oil. While no displacement figure is available, the engine is said to be capable of producing 22,500 brake horsepower. It was used as a backup power source, however, since retirement. It's been open for members of the public to visit. 7. Largest industrial turbine engine. The GE 1750 MWE Arabelle turbine generator, planned for use in nuclear power stations, transforms steam into electricity. On their own, the turbine blades weigh 176 pounds or 80 kilograms. According to GE, in both 50 and 60 cycles per second, Arabelle steam turbines produce power from 700 megawatts to 1900 megawatts and can adjust to any heat sink conditions with choice of low pressure modules and last stage blade forms. Arabelle will meet the demands of the most demanding nuclear power producers with its unique single-flow steam expansion system that increases the performance of welded rotors and an independent LP exhaust design that reduces loads on the base. Stay tuned in to the rest of the video to learn about the largest car engine ever. Yep, ever. 8. World's largest rocket engine. The Saturn V rocket was the largest ever produced, at a total of 363 feet tall and 18.5 feet for the engine alone. It was created to support the Apollo program for human exploration of the moon, and was later used to launch Skylab, the first American space station. It was powered by the F1 engine, constructed by Rockwell International's Rocketdyne division. It had 1.5 million pounds of thrust, and in the Project Apollo program carried the first astronauts to the moon on 6 successful landing missions between 1969 and 1972. The Saturn V was fully loaded with gasoline, weighing 6.1 million pounds. The F1 used a type of kerosene and liquid oxygen as the propellants, which were pumped by the F1's 2,500 pound turbo pump at 42,500 gallons per minute. 9. Largest car engine. The Fiat S76, later renamed the Fiat 300 HP Record, was built between 1910 and 1911, and was designed specifically to break the land speed record held by Blitz-Benz at the time. It has a 4-cylinder engine of 1,730.2 inches cubed with a displacement of 290 horsepower at 1,900 revolutions per minute. It was so strong that through heavy-duty metal chains, Fiat had to link the engine to the wheels. The beast managed to reach a top speed of 215 kilometers an hour. Originally, 2 engines were built, with the first purchased prior to the revolution by Russian Prince Boris Sukhanov in 1911. The S76 and its engine were then transported to Australia, where the car was equipped with a Stutz engine, but it eventually crashed in 1924. The second S76 was kept by Fiat and scrapped in 1920. 10. Largest marine engine. The Finnish wartsila-sulzer RTA 96-C is a marvellous piece of engineering, powering some of the biggest ocean-going container ships in the world. It can be designed to work on 6 to 14 cylinders, consisting of a 2-stroke turbo working on heavy fuel oil. This engine works for large container ships that run on heavy fuel oil. The RTA-96-C is the world's biggest reciprocating engine and is able to produce 108,920 brake horsepower. The engine has a crankshaft weighing 300 tons and works at 22 to 102 revolutions per minute. It costs $34 a minute to work, consuming more than 39 barrels of oil an hour. In that hour, it already costs about $2,040. Which engines were most fascinating to you? We were surprised about how expensive the RTA 96C is, but the price is reasonable considering the amount of power it produces. Make sure to comment your thoughts below and stay tuned for the next top 10